What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the NFL Week 11 game picks and betting locks here after we had a pretty eventful week number 10 where the underdogs just went off. And as I mentioned in last week's video, we were all on underdogs, but somehow it still didn't work out great for us, as we'll get into the recap. And started off in that Thursday game where it was an instant classic between these two AFC North teams like it was earlier in the year in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati comes out on the short end again. And I really felt like in the third quarter, they were up 21-7 in this game, driving in their own territory. They get a fumble. Ravens score a couple plays later. Then the Ravens take a 28-21 lead. Bengals able to tie it up. Then Ravens go down, score again. Then the Bengals get a touchdown late and take the 2-point conversion, which I endorsed of that decision. Obviously, I thought they would convert it, but end up not. And a bit of controversy there as well, as it should have been called a penalty, but unfortunately it wasn't. But still, our Bengals bet cashes. I did have the Bengals winning outright. Didn't put any money on the money line there, but definitely thought that they should have won that game. It was a desperation spot, and now they are in a precarious situation when it comes to the playoffs. Going to have a few must-win games that we'll chronicle here in the weeks to come. Then we had the Colts plus 4.5, and I know this was a 17-point game in the fourth quarter, but I still feel like the Colts should have covered this number. I thought that they would dominate in the ground game against this Buffalo team, and they were able to move the ball pretty well, but it was just Joe Flacco making disgusting mistakes in this one, just giving the Bills the game there. I think the Colts were up 13-10 potentially in this game. It was really close in the first half, but yeah, just a couple huge mistakes that led to Buffalo scoring some points there, so that was just unfortunate that the Colts didn't cover there. That was a prime spot. Then we had the Jags plus 4.5, and after I made the video last week, it was announced that Lawrence would be out with the shoulder injury. He's potentially out for the whole season, and obviously there's a precipitous drop-off between him and Trevor Lawrence there, so that was just unfortunate, but the Jags definitely should have covered this game. Even so, Darnold threw 3 horrible interceptions there, but unfortunately Mac Jones and the Jags offense was even worse, only scoring 7 points there, so the Jags end up missing the cover there, but they did cover the game time spread if anyone took it late. Then we also took the Broncos plus the 9.5. It even got down to 7.5 before game time, but still loved it there. Just was a tough situational spot with the Chiefs, and the Broncos actually should have won this game. Obviously, they get the kick blocked late there to win, so there's just some type of magic going on with this Kansas City team. I can't really describe it here, but the Broncos do end up covering, and the Chiefs go to 9-0, even though they should have lost a number of these games. Then next we get to the Saints plus 3.5. This was just an obvious spot here with the Falcons team that was riding too high, overrated at that record, and the Saints are not a 2-7 team. I know they are pretty mediocre, but that was just a great spot with their coach getting fired, and it did help us out that Younghoe Koo missed a few field goals there, and the Saints end up winning outright in a must-win spot at home. Then we get to a disastrous afternoon slate here, and none of these games were really competitive come the fourth quarter. Started out with the Titans plus 8.5, and this one was close. I think it was 13-10 in the third, and I thought that the Titans may win outright, but no, the Chargers just dominated them on the ground, and then Will Levis and that offense could do nothing there until a late garbage time score to cut it to 10, but just disappointing here from this Tennessee team. They are riding very low right now, and this Chargers team now up to 6-3, looking like a playoff contender potentially. Then we had the Jets plus 1. They actually ended up coming the favorite in this game, and that was not warranted in the slightest, as the Cardinals are looking like a buzzsaw potentially right now. That was just a huge win going into their bye week. Still atop the NFC West. Kyler Murray is absolutely cooking, and this Jets offense is still looking for answers there. That was an abysmal performance. And then the Eagles against the Cowboys here. The Cowboys just had no shot in this game. Cooper Rush and that offense were absolutely abhorrent in that game, and the Eagles, although it was close early, they got their offense rolling, and they won this one easily there. Then what a Sunday night game we had. We had a couple of player props that hit in this one, but no official betting lock. Lions get away with 5 Goff interceptions to win that game. That was absolutely crazy there with the late field goals from Bates. And then on Monday night, we had the Dolphins team total over. This was just a cruel ending to our week as the Dolphins miss it by a half a point there. Just too many field goals and just a sloppy game there between Stafford and Tua. Too many interceptions, just too many missed plays there. Thought that definitely should have gone over there. And Dolphins, even though they win, do not cover their team total. So we're looking to bounce back again this week. I know it's been a disappointing season. Feel free to fade any of these picks if you like, but I know we will get on the good side of the regression at some point. So let's start it this week. So we started out with the Thursday night game, and give me the Eagles minus the 3 points here. I know, yes, a little bit shock on this Thursday night game in prime time, but I still do like the Eagles. I even liked it at the juiced minus 120, or if you have to take a minus 3.5 for about plus 100 odds. I still do like Philadelphia in this spot because I think that they are the better team. I've been suspect of Philadelphia in these past few weeks betting against them, but I'm more suspect of this Commanders team, and obviously it did come crashing down last week with that loss to Pittsburgh. Jaden Daniels in that second half just wasn't very effective, and that defense ended up getting torched by Russell Wilson. I think that this Philadelphia offense is even better than that in a tough environment here, Lincoln Financial at night. This is going to be a rude awakening, I believe, for Jaden Daniels and that Commanders offense. So I do think that the Eagles will dominate in this game, potentially go up by 2 scores, but then you do have to worry about Sirianni's coaching, letting them back in the game. So hopefully that doesn't rear its ugly head here, because if not, I do think that the Eagles will win easily, but I still do like them minus the 3 or the 3.5, whatever you end up getting there. Next, we get to the Sunday slate. And we get to one that a few weeks ago it looked like it was going to be a great matchup when the Bears were 4-2 and the Packers were sitting at 6-2. But now with this Bears team, I mean, it's looking like a complete disaster. Give us the under 41.5 in this game. The spread is ballooned to like 6 or 6.5. I definitely do not think it's the prudent play to take the Packers in that spot, even though they are coming off of the bye, just because, the Bears could always come back with a vengeance in this game and somehow get the offense working after firing their offensive coordinator. But still, with the Bears offensive line in this game, I cannot see Caleb Williams doing well. He got sacked 9 times last week by New England. Expect some similar numbers here for Green Bay at home. I mean, maybe they have a new scheme coming up, but I just can't see them surpassing 20 points in this game. And then Jordan Love, I mean, he's still probably dinged up, and they probably want to play it a little bit conservative there. Not to mention that this is going to be pretty ugly weather, very windy in this game. Maybe we see some precipitation as well. So I do think that this is just a classic NFC North dogfight in Chicago there. Give us the under 41 in the hook. Then we get to a very lopsided game, Lions and the Jaguars. Spread for this one's 13 and 13.5. No play on that one. I just think that the Lions are going to roll this Jaguars team, clean up some of the mistakes from last weekend. I just cannot back Mac Jones and this Jaguars disgusting offense. They probably have quit on their head coach, and I imagine that Doug Peterson will probably be fired in the next coming weeks, if not after this week, if it's really ugly in that one in Detroit. Then we get to the Raiders at the Dolphins here, and give me the Raiders plus the 8 points here. This is a sharp play as the Raiders are coming off of the bye week here, so 14 days rest, whereas the Dolphins coming off of a tough Monday night game in LA, going back across the country to play in Miami in this game. And I just think that the Raiders, although they are 2-7, are riding a little bit low. Hopefully Antonio Pierce has maintained control of the locker room in this one, and the Raiders offense is able to get back because there will be some plays to be made against this Miami team, and the back door will always be open as well. And I just think that this Dolphins team is not the same team as we saw last year. Even with Tua coming back, he's not playing very well, and I think that this Raiders defense will cause a little bit of trouble there. Definitely do think that the Miami Dolphins are the better team in this one, and they went outright, but 8 is far too much. Anything north of a touchdown, give me the Raiders in a hammer spot there. Then we get to the Rams and the Patriots. Not going to overthink this one. Give me the Rams to win this one. Yes, short week going across the country, but New England, I don't take much away from that Chicago win. I mean, that's just more about the Bears being bad in that one than them being good. And I just think that this Rams team playing for their playoff lives probably in this game, it is a tough situational spot, but I think that Stafford will be able to get it done potentially in a fourth quarter comeback there. Then we get to a pretty ugly one, but good storylines between Jameis Winston and the Saints team. Browns coming off the bye here, but I liked what I saw. Good enough for the Saints last week to take them again in this one. Think it's going to be a dogfight, potentially fourth quarter, late. Derek Carr leads a drive or maybe an overtime to win this game. I think it will be pretty entertaining, as it always is when Jameis Winston's playing quarterback for the Browns. And I do think that New Orleans is the slightly better team, so give me them to win that one. Then we get into a titanic clash in the AFC North for the division lead between who else? The Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's in Pittsburgh here. These teams always play close games. The Steelers have matched up very well with Lamar Jackson throughout his career. So give me the Steelers plus the 3.5. Do not overthink this one here, as Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense has been cooking. And usually going into the Ravens matchup, you'd think they're about to be stopped. But no, this Ravens defense has been horrible, especially against the pass, as we saw last Thursday night against the Bengals. I don't think that the Steelers offense is quite as good as the Bengals offense, but Russ has been cooking this year. So I do think that they will be able to control the time of possession in this game well enough. Russell Wilson will make enough good plays within this game. Their offensive line will hold up to make it close. Yes, I do think that the Ravens will be able to move the ball in their own right as well, but I do think that this will kind of be more of an ugly game. The offense of the Ravens was not stellar, especially in the first half against the Bengals, and their ground game was really stifled in that one. Obviously, the Steelers' front seven is very potent in their own right as well, so I do think that we'll see a classic coin flip game between these two teams coming down to the fourth quarter. Probably Ravens win by 1, 2, or 3, but I love the value on the Steelers team plus the 3 and a hook there. Definitely think that that line is wrong. It should be much lower than that between these two talented teams. Then we get to the Vikings and the Titans here, and I'm going back to the well. Give me the Titans plus 6. I mean, I am catching a falling knife here, but between these two records, I mean, the Vikings are overinflated. We're seeing the regression from Darnold. He's clearly not an MVP contender. He's more of a league average quarterback at best, I think. And against this Titans defense, I think that they'll play much better. And I also think that this Minnesota defense is regressing. We know that they were like a top 5 unit in the first few weeks of the season. They've gotten worse, even though Jacksonville wasn't able to do anything this last week. Hopefully Will Levis and this Titans ground game will be able to move the ball against this Minnesota team. Just think that 6 points is too much for Tennessee at home in this one. Vikings, obviously, with their second straight game on the road in the AFC South, I think that that's going to be a pretty tough environment for them. So give me the Titans to cover the 6 points there. Then we get to another underdog. Give me the Colts plus the 4 last week. I'll take the candy once again, because how is it possible that the Colts are a 4.5 point underdog against the Bills last week, one of the best teams in the league? Yes, they are at home. And now At the Jets, yes, I know this is on the road, but against this Jets team, they're a similar 4-point underdog. This just makes absolutely zero sense. Yes, Flacco was disgusting last week, but the Colts have been dealing with these turnovers from the quarterback all year, whether it be Flacco or Richardson, and they've bounced back well in some of these games. So I do think that the Colts are underrated in this one. And I mean, this Jets team just continues to be overrated. I took the bait last week in Arizona last week, and it did not serve me well. The Jets got absolutely crunched. I know that it's a talented roster, but it's a poorly coached team. I mean, the interim Oldrich just isn't doing a very good job with either the defense or the locker room. It's a chaotic situation. Definitely think that the Colts will cover this spread, and I do think that they'll win outright as well, as this Jets team is just an absolute tire fire. Aaron Rodgers is not playing well either, so I just see so much value with Indianapolis there. Next, we get to the afternoon slate. And we started out with the Falcons and the Broncos. Give me the over 43.5 in this game, as I think that the Falcons defense is really bad, letting the Saints score 20 points. It should have been more than that. Kamara had a late drop there, as the Saints could have put away the game. I think that their lack of front seven talent will allow Bo Nix and this Broncos offense to move the ball at will. Sean Payton and Nix will be cooking all over this Atlanta defense. And then I think Kirk, in potentially a late fourth quarter comeback situation, will have to put up some offense in his own right. And obviously they should have scored more last week, as we talked about with the Younghoe Koo missed kicks. So see some regression for them as well. We've got good weather in the Mile High City for this matchup. So I do think that these two teams with bad defenses and good offenses will go over the total there. Then we get to a divisional matchup, Niners and the Seahawks in this one. Give me the Niners minus the 6.5. Not going to overthink this game. I know that Seattle's coming off of the bye here, and they had a couple tough losses before that. But I think that the Niners are the better team. And you look at Geno Smith against this Niners team the last 3 years, he is 0-6, and none of those games particularly close. We remember what happened a few weeks ago on Thursday Night Football when the Niners, they only won by 12. It should have been more than that if it weren't for a late comeback effort from the Seahawks in that one. And yes, they only won by 3 points last week, but there were just so many plays that they could have broken it open last week, including all of the missed field goals and the red zone woes. I think that they will slowly clean that up. Christian McCaffrey also coming back will get a bigger workload within this game. I think that their defense will play a lot better, force Geno into some mistakes as well. So yes, Seattle coming off the bye might have a frisky game plan in the first half, but ultimately at this number, Niners are the better team. Give me them by over a touchdown in that one. Then next we get to the one that everyone's been waiting for, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. Another tilt between this Chiefs team and the Bills. And obviously the storyline here, the Bills always win this game in the regular season. They've won the last 3 regular season matchups, but the Chiefs always get the better of them in the playoffs. So I'm playing off those storylines and what I've seen on the field this year. The Bills are the better team, and they're at home. And this is just going to be a must-win game for their fan base, for their coaching staff, and for their players. And so I think that they'll be desperate in this one. Yes, the Chiefs can win. We've seen them win all of these games close this season, but I do think that the value at this number, minus 1.5, is all in this Bills team. I think that Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills offense has been playing very well this season, as we saw last week in Indianapolis. And I know that the KC defense has been stout in their own right, but Bills will definitely at least get 20 points in my estimation. I think that Allen will be cooking in this one if he can just rein in the mistakes. And then it's just going to come down to Mahomes against this Buffalo defense. And he's been pulling it off the Magic all year, but I do like the way that this Buffalo defense has been playing. And they have been forcing mistakes out of these quarterbacks the last few weeks. So I do think that Mahomes will have a couple big mistakes late in this game as he's trying to force it. So give me the Bills to cover the minus 1.5 number in that one. I love that one as a sharp play. All the professional bettors will be on this Bills team. The public will be on KC in that one. But definitely do understand if you are backing the Chiefs to win this game, as they just cannot lose. I think they've won 15 in a row as of right now. Then we get to another thrilling matchup between the Bengals and the Chargers in this one. Obviously, Burrow and Herbert, both in that 2020 draft class. Who's the better quarterback? And the Bengals really need to win this game for their playoff hopes. And the Chargers are one of the teams that they're trying to chase down within the wild card. Give me the Bengals plus the 1.5 here. I think that is just a desperation spot for this team, and I think that they're better than the Chargers. Also, not to mention that this Chargers team doesn't really have that much of a home field advantage. Bengals coming off of extended rest here. I think that you're going to see everything that this team has coming into this game. All of that offensive game plan and fireworks. Yes, this LA Chargers defense is good, but Bengals have been putting up some scintillating offensive performances. Burrow is having an MVP type season if it weren't for the Bengals being so bad. So I definitely think that the Bengals put up at least 27 points in this matchup. And Herbert and this Chargers offense, in my estimation, even going against a bad Bengals defense, have not been dynamic enough in this season to keep up, in my opinion. So ultimately, it's just a situation here with the Bengals needing to win this game. I am taking the 1.5 points. I think that they win that one on Sunday night there to course correct their season. And then finally, we get to the Battle of Texas on Monday Night Football, and this one has lost its luster completely. Give me the Texans to beat this horrible Cowboys team. This might be the week that Dallas kind of stands back up a bit with Cooper Rush, but I just really can't see it. That Texans team, yes, a brutal loss on Sunday night, but they are just so much more talented than this Dallas team. So maybe the Cowboys can keep it close, as the Texans are a bit overrated in my estimation. Don't necessarily think they're Super Bowl contenders, but definitely much better than this Dallas team. So even though it's in Dallas, give me Houston to win that one on the road. So with all that being said, let me know what you guys think of my picks in the comments down below. Looking to bounce back this week, let me know which ones you are tailing and fading. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.